The story opens on the chilling legend of Princess Grave, the tomb of a royal from a long-lost dynasty. In a desolate forest, a lone figure is surrounded by an ominous supernatural presence. A local superstition speaks of a ghostly bride who appears annually near the tomb on a specific lunar date. This spectral figure, draped in a red wedding dress, is said to wander the cursed grounds. Beneath her veil, however, lies a terrifying visage, a grotesque mockery of her former beauty. A young man reveals that the princess's death anniversary is when her spiritual energy is at its absolute peak. He boldly declares his plan to lead his followers on a night-long vigil at the haunted cemetery. His goal is to livestream the entire event, challenging the legend and seeking to expose the truth. The broadcast goes live, with his followers eagerly tuning in to witness the supernatural investigation. Meanwhile, a crew member in the woods confirms to his boss, Mr. Fang Ning, that their promotional video is out. Mr. Fang Ning sits confidently, explaining that 1 million views is all it takes to make a viral hit. He flashes a charming smile, commending his subordinate for their excellent work. He then entrusts the live broadcast to director Wang, who reluctantly agrees due to a recent slump in business. The film crew, however, questions this sudden shift from their usual low-budget gigs to a wilderness shoot. Suddenly, an assistant rushes towards the director with an urgent update. He reports their hired actress is having second thoughts, spooked by the remote location and refusing to come. The director, furious at the delay, demands they get her to the set immediately for the live show. With the clock ticking down to their 11:30 p.m. start time, the team scrambles to prepare their equipment in the eerie graveyard. Fang Ning watches his professional team at work, internally calculating the massive profits this broadcast will bring. He settles back into his chair, telling the director he'll just play along with the atmosphere, real or not, for the sake of the show. The director's voice echoes through the forest, panicked that their lead actress is missing with only minutes to go. His assistant admits he can't reach her, pushing the furious director to threaten legal action for the no-show. In a wild pivot, the director shoves the red wedding dress at his assistant, making an unexpected casting change. He then kicks the stunned young man forward, ordering him to learn the script and not ruin the broadcast. The unwilling new star looks back in utter shock, unable to process his sudden promotion. Just then, he spots a figure on the slope, pointing her out as the actress who has finally arrived. A mysterious woman glides down the stone steps, surrounded by an eerie glow and a flurry of dark feathers. The crew is baffled, noting her costume is far more authentic and expensive than the one they had prepared. With their actress now in position, the team gives Fang Ning the signal that the show is ready to begin. The live feed is connected, and as the moon watches over the graveyard, Fang Ning prepares to execute his master plan. The mysterious woman in red adjusts her veil, pleased with how the scene is set. With a snap of his fingers, Fang Ning confidently launches the live broadcast. His professional crew immediately gets to work, bathing the scene in an eerie blue light. As the stream goes live, viewers flood the chat, questioning the set's authenticity while admiring the host. Fang Ning sets the scene for his audience, pointing to the glowing tomb and detailing its haunted history. He internally celebrates the stream's popularity, seeing it as a gold mine before announcing the exploration will begin. He confidently approaches the tomb, while viewers in the chat confirm its authenticity from news photos. From the crew's perspective, he continues his dramatic retelling of the legend for the camera. Putting on a convincing performance, he acts startled by an unseen force, sending the live chat into a frenzy. Suddenly, a mysterious black crystal plummets into view as the live chat erupts with panicked messages. The director gives a thumbs up, praising the perfect execution of the special effect. He commends Fang Ning's convincing performance, believing his investment in a professional actor is paying off. An assistant interrupts with urgent news, but the director is annoyed by the distraction during their peak moment. His annoyance turns to glee as he sees the stream has gone viral, breaking 1 million views and hitting the top 10 charts. The director fantasizes about the massive profits and viewer donations pouring in from their successful broadcast. Snapping back to reality, he angrily shoos his assistant away, refusing any interruptions that might jeopardize his payday. He barks into his walkie-talkie, ordering Fang Ning to proceed with the script as midnight approaches. A bored crew member scoffs at the director's theatrics, finding the walkie-talkie use ridiculous for their tiny team. Another crewman realizes a critical detail, reporting that the mysterious actress never received her communication earpiece. A sudden, powerful gust of wind sweeps through the set, putting the entire crew on high alert. A crew member wipes his brow, baffled by the abrupt and unsettling change in the weather. His confusion turns to sheer panic as he desperately tries to get the director's attention. He points frantically towards the tomb, realizing the mysterious actress has completely vanished. The furious director dismisses the warning, lashing out at his assistant and insisting the actress is just hiding off script. Ignoring the unfolding chaos, the director calmly radios Fang Ning to prepare for the next scene. With steely resolve, Fang Ning prepares to lead the exploration further up the mountain slope. He continues his performance for the live stream, admitting to his audience that the wind has him feeling genuinely spooked. He deepens the act, looking into the distance and pondering aloud if the legend of the Ghost Princess is true after all. As he walks into a swirling, ethereal mist, the live chat floods with a mix of taunts and terrified warnings. He turns back with a knowing smirk, completely unfazed as the panicked director tries to intervene in the background. The director furiously grabs his assistant, demanding to know why he's being interrupted during the broadcast. His assistant shows him a text message confirming their hired actress fell asleep and is a no-show. The director freezes, a cold sweat forming as the horrifying implication of this news dawns on him. He realizes with sheer terror that the woman on the hillside is not part of their production. Unaware of the crew's panic, Fang Ning coolly questions the identity of the mysterious figure. The woman stands ominously atop the tomb, a true specter in the eerie green glow of the graveyard. Her hood shifts, revealing ethereal silver hair and piercing red eyes that seem to glow in the dark. She now confronts Fang Ning directly, who sits caught in the spotlight of a show that has spiraled out of control. Fang Ning's eyes widen, still believing she's a performer and marveling at her professional stealth. His composure finally breaks as he looks up, genuinely unnerved, and asks the silent woman who she is. The director grabs his assistant in a panic, demanding to know who the woman is if their hired actress never arrived. A frantic voice buzzes through the director's earpiece as the horrifying reality of their situation sinks in. A terrified cameraman stammers into his mic, pointing out a chilling detail he's captured through his lens. The crew huddles around the monitor, their eyes fixed on the mysterious woman's feet as seen on the live feed. The director and his assistant recoil in pure, unadulterated terror at what they witness on the screen. The livestream shows the woman floating ominously in midair, sending the chat into a frenzy of disbelief and fear. Staring at the monitor, the director finally accepts they may have encountered the actual ghost from the legend. The camera focuses on the spectral figure, seemingly confirming she is the fabled princess of the Lost Dynasty. The crew debates in a panicked huddle, unable to comprehend how their equipment is capturing a genuine supernatural being. Fang Ning, his bravado gone, confronts the floating specter and warns her to stay away. Fang Ning recoils in terror, holding up his hands to ward off the approaching specter. But his fear quickly turns to admiration, believing this is all part of the director's professional production. He internally praises the high-quality costume and striking white hair, completely convinced it's an act. Convinced he's hit the jackpot with this crew, he leaps into a dramatic pose, ready to perform his part. He grabs a flashlight, defiantly shining it forward to show he's not afraid of the ghost. With a renewed smirk, he boasts that a mere ghost is no match for him, playing the brave hero for his audience. The livestream chat explodes with comments, most viewers convinced it's all scripted as Fang Ning gives a confident thumbs up. Meanwhile, the director and his crew watch in bug-eyed horror, wondering if their host has completely lost his mind. The chat's skepticism turns to genuine fear as they notice the spectral woman's nails seem to be growing longer. A terrifying close-up reveals her fingers have transformed into sharp, menacing claws, confirming the viewer's worst fears. The director frantically radios Fang Ning, screaming that they've encountered a real ghost and he needs to retreat. An assistant reports a sudden electromagnetic disturbance has completely cut off their communication with the host. A terrified crewman begs the director to abandon their host and flee the cursed grounds immediately. A terrifying wave of spectral energy and dark feathers erupts, sending the entire film crew scrambling for their lives. The powerful blast knocks the director and his remaining crew members violently to the ground. Overcome with terror, the crew prostrates themselves on the forest floor, pleading for mercy. Meanwhile, the spectral princess seizes Fang Ning by the throat, who struggles against her unyielding grip. As she holds him effortlessly, he manages to slap a yellow talisman onto her forehead. A close-up of his eye reflects the scene, revealing his cool-headed determination in the face of true danger. The talisman seems to work, freezing the ghost princess in place with a look of stunned annoyance. Fang Ning's fear melts away, replaced by a sudden captivated admiration for the ghost's appearance. The livestream chat explodes, with viewers falling in love with the beautiful ghost, oblivious to the danger. His delusion shatters as he struggles against her impossible strength, questioning why she's deviating from the script. Viewers finally grasp the terrifying reality as they witness the princess floating, confirming the legend is true. The pressure on his throat intensifies, and he realizes with dawning horror that this is no act. Elsewhere, the terrified film crew remains frozen on the ground, trapped by the spectral energy. The director stares into the darkness, convinced their doom is sealed. His assistant pleads for a plan, but the director points out their hopeless situation against the supernatural force. Suddenly, the ghost's grip on Fang Ning's neck begins to loosen, though he remains trapped. A look of intense concentration crosses Fang Ning's face as he prepares his next move. As his consciousness fades, Fang Ning feels himself sinking into a deep, dark abyss. He tumbles through an ethereal void, a distant light offering the only glimmer of hope. Snapping back to his senses, he channels a burst of golden energy through the prayer beads on his wrist. His eyes fly open with a jolt as he returns to the terrifying reality of the graveyard. Still in her grasp, he internally fumes at the actress for ruining his broadcast with her unprofessional performance. The ghost princess simply stares at his glowing wrist, unfazed by his anger or the talisman on her head. With a flick of her wrist, she unleashes a powerful blast that sends him hurtling through the air. He crashes to the ground, coughing and gasping for breath after the forceful impact. Clutching his throat, the terrifying realization dawns that he was nearly strangled for real. Yet he stands up and furiously confronts the specter, still convinced she's just a bad actor on a rogue film crew. He refuses to let his meticulously planned broadcast fail, his determination hardening despite the danger. The reality sinks in that a genuine ghost princess haunts this tomb, and she's staring right at him. With a wild grin, he decides that if he's going to die, he'll do something he's never dared to do before. He smoothly ties his hair back, telling his audience that dying for love is a romantic end. With a confident thumbs up, he declares to the camera that today he's going all out. He plants his foot firmly on the ground, steeling himself for his next audacious move. In a shocking turn, he drops to one knee before the spectral princess. He calmly asks her to let go of her ancient obsession, a gentle smile on his face. From his pocket, he produces a red box, revealing a stunning luminescent ring. Looking her directly in the eyes, he proposes marriage to the 1,000-year-old ghost. The film crew is left utterly thunderstruck by Fang Ning's audacious marriage proposal. Meanwhile, the livestream chat explodes with viewers calling him a legend for trying to woo a ghost. Fang Ning internally celebrates, knowing this shocking twist will push his broadcast to its absolute peak. The ghost princess appears momentarily confused by his offer, the talisman still stuck to her forehead. A close-up on her eye reveals a flicker of an unexpected emotion, a hint of a blush on her cheek. In a swirl of spectral energy, she reaches out and takes the ring box from his hand. Fang Ning's confidence wavers as he wonders why the actress is deviating from the script. The specter leans in close, her face inches from his, catching him completely off guard. She then dips him backward in a dramatic, almost romantic gesture, surrounded by an ethereal glow. Holding the ring, she finally speaks, questioning the timing of his sudden proposal. Fang Ning is bewildered by the princess's question, a single tear tracing his cheek. The ghost princess, tears streaming from her crimson eyes, expresses her long wait. A surge of energy erupts as she accepts the ring, leaving Fang Ning stunned. Fang Ning, amidst the chaotic energy, questions the source of the sudden upheaval. The princess, talisman still affixed, accuses Fang Ning of abandoning her in the chaos. The film crew is swept away by a powerful unseen force. The director and his team are thrown around like ragdolls by the spectral energy. A mysterious purple energy emanates from beneath the princess's dress. A shadowy, monstrous figure emerges from the purple energy, startling Fang Ning. The princess's face is partially obscured by a shadowy corruption as the monstrous figure looms. The livestream feed glitches violently, showing a distorted image of Fang Ning as panicked viewers flood the chat. He finally breaks, realizing the monstrous entity is no special effect and he's running for his life. His fear is quickly replaced by a desperate will to survive, driven by his unfinished financial ambitions. The ghost princess cries out in anguish, clutching the ring box and begging not to be abandoned again. Her desperate plea strikes a chord with Fang Ning, his expression shifting to one of sudden understanding. A painful memory surfaces, showing his own parents leaving him behind with false promises of their return. He recalls the harsh reality of his childhood, forced to endure cruelty and neglect after being abandoned. The flashback shows him crying himself to sleep, clinging to the hope that his parents would come back. His memory culminates in a moment of pure desperation, echoing the ghost's own plea not to be left alone. Returning to the present, he looks at the spectral princess with newfound empathy, seeing their shared trauma of abandonment. He reaches out with newfound empathy, gently comforting the spectral princess. He then takes the ring from its box and slides it onto her finger, sealing his promise. Fang Ning pulls her into a firm embrace, holding the ancient ghost close. He assures her that he has returned, ready to fulfill his unexpected proposal. The princess looks up in stunned silence, her crimson eyes wide with disbelief and a hint of a blush. Suddenly, a violent blast of energy erupts from her, sending Fang Ning hurtling through the air. He crashes violently to the ground, the force of the impact knocking him unconscious. The film crew gathers around his fallen form, their faces filled with worry and confusion. He slowly awakens, bruised and disoriented, as his crew expresses their immense relief. Sitting up, he clutches his head and asks the director what happened, his memory of the event a complete blank. He urgently asks his crew about the fate of the female ghost. The director and his team exchange baffled looks, unable to answer. The director explains that a powerful gust of wind knocked them all unconscious, leaving them with no memory of the aftermath. An assistant reports their camera fell and the livestream was cut, leaving no footage of the final confrontation. A fragmented memory of the spectral princess flashes through his mind as he struggles to piece together the night's events. He brushes it off, assuming he fainted with the crew, and notes how harmless the tomb seems in the daylight. The director excitedly reveals the broadcast was a massive success, gaining him thousands of followers and a hefty revenue. Fang Ning celebrates his earnings as the director promises to send the video file for him to edit and gain even more fans. Thrilled with the results, Fang Ning assures the director of a generous cut and a continued partnership. With the chaotic night behind them, he decides it's time for everyone to head home and get some rest. The director enthusiastically rallies his crew, who eagerly agree to his command. The scene shifts to a rundown apartment complex, bathed in the golden light of dusk. Fang Ning arrives home, looking weary but stylish as he approaches the old building. He tiredly makes his way up the graffiti-covered stairs of his apartment block. In the dimly lit hallway, he kneels to retrieve something hidden near his door. Inside his surprisingly neat apartment, he takes a moment to gaze out the window. He cracks open a cold soda, taking a long, satisfying drink to unwind. Finally, he collapses onto his couch, resting after the chaotic and profitable night. A phone screen reveals the edited video has already surpassed 100,000 views in just 30 minutes. The comment section is flooded with praise, skepticism, and demands to know more about the beautiful ghost actress. He smirks, confident that this instant hit is his ticket to becoming a top-tier influencer. A sudden memory of the ghost princess flashes in his mind, and he realizes he never even learned her name. Shaking off his fatigue, he briefly wonders if his ghostly fiancée might have actually followed him home. He quickly dismisses the thought, reassuring himself that her powerful resentment likely binds her to the tomb. Exhausted, he collapses onto his bed, concluding she must have returned to her grave with the sunrise. His mind is already racing, plotting how to leverage his newfound fame into a continuous stream of cash. With his plans in motion, he drifts off to sleep, a faint golden aura shimmering around him. Hours pass and the moonlight streams through his window, illuminating the quiet room. Suddenly his eyes snap open, a sharp awareness cutting through his sleep. Glancing at his phone, he questions the time, confused as to why he passed out so early. He reaches for his phone, trying to grasp the situation as he wakes. His eyes fly open in sudden, sharp realization. He looks up to find the spectral princess looming directly over his bed. The ghost, talisman still on her forehead, stands over him with an ethereal glow. His mind reels with confusion, unable to process the impossible sight. He jolts upright, questioning whether he's still trapped in a nightmare. He tries to rationalize the encounter as a dream born from the day's events. Believing he can control this dream, he concentrates, trying to will her away. He cautiously peeks, expecting to find his room completely empty. To his dismay, the ghost princess remains, looking back at him with a puzzled expression. He panics, realizing his attempt to will her away has utterly failed. The ghost princess simply tilts her head, looking completely perplexed by his strange behavior. He clutches his head in frustration, convinced he's trapped in an inescapable nightmare. Suddenly, an idea strikes him, a foolproof method to test if he's actually dreaming. With a confident smirk, he grabs his finger, ready to bend it backward as a painless test of reality. Outside, two strange, spiky creatures are seen on a tree branch in the pouring rain. He yelps in agony as his finger throbs with real pain, much to the ghost's confusion. The sharp, undeniable pain shatters his delusion, forcing him to accept the terrifying truth. In a state of utter disbelief, he cautiously pokes the spectral princess, confirming her solid presence. His terror finally peaks as he points at her, convinced she has followed him home to end his life. He's stunned to find her gently holding his hand, realizing she might not be there to harm him. The ghost princess explains with a soft smile that she simply came to see him, her new ring gleaming on her finger. Utterly bewildered, he questions why a total stranger would seek him out in his own home. She blushes and clarifies their relationship, affectionately referring to him as her husband. The bizarre situation finally clicks for Fang Ning as he realizes she genuinely believes they are married. Her mood shifts dramatically as a menacing aura erupts, questioning how he could possibly have forgotten her. He frantically tries to backpedal, attempting to explain the events of the previous night without angering her further. A monstrous shadow with glowing red eyes manifests behind her, amplifying her terrifying presence. Overcome with fear, his survival instincts kick in, and he vows to do anything to stay alive. He quickly changes his tune, grabbing her hand and assuring her with a strained smile that he remembers everything perfectly. He smoothly changes tactics, asking the ghost princess for her name with a disarming smile. She introduces herself as Zhang Li, and he quickly plays along as if he remembered it all along. His quick thinking pays off as she beams with happiness, while he internally breathes a sigh of relief. He finds himself blushing, momentarily captivated by her beauty and questioning his own feelings. Regaining his composure, he asks how she managed to travel so far from her tomb to his apartment. Instead of answering, she demonstrates her power by floating in midair, surrounded by a vibrant green aura. She then transforms into a streak of spectral energy and shoots directly towards a stunned Fang Ning. The green light merges with his body, leaving him frozen in place as he processes the bizarre event. He looks around in confusion, noticing his necklace is now glowing as he wonders what just transpired. Frantically searching his room, he realizes the ghost princess has completely disappeared, leaving him alone and baffled. He screams in terror as her spectral form emerges from his necklace, explaining she's now inside him. A powerful blast of green energy erupts from his mouth, forcefully expelling her. The ghost princess tumbles out onto the floor in a daze as he watches in stunned silence. She recovers quickly, lounging casually on his desk with a bored expression. Fang Ning's fear subsides, replaced by the thought that his ghostly wife is actually quite cute. Zhang Li gets up and curiously inspects his bed, seemingly unfamiliar with modern furniture. Her exploration is cut short as she trips and falls again, much to his bewilderment. He points out that her ancient robes must be difficult to move in, suggesting she change. The ghost princess looks down with a bashful expression, seemingly flustered by his suggestion. She closes her eyes and concentrates, her ring glowing as she prepares to use her powers. A swirl of green energy envelops the ghost princess as she prepares to change her attire. He watches with a knowing smile, wondering if this is the legendary transformation spell he's read about. In a flash of brilliant light, her ancient robes disappear, leaving her shrouded only by ethereal clouds. The startling sight sends him flying backward, comically overwhelmed by the unexpected reveal. The ghost princess looks on with innocent confusion, asking her husband why his nose is bleeding. In a flustered panic, he throws one of his own shirts at her, demanding she put it on immediately. He sits blushing, completely flustered as he wonders if this naive ghost is trying to claim his innocence. After giving her a moment to change, he cautiously asks if she's ready. He looks up from the couch, getting a surprising view as she stands directly over him. Now wearing his shirt, she blushes and asks her husband if this is the proper way to dress. Flustered, he frantically adjusts her shirt, insisting she cover up properly. He breathes a sigh of relief, while the ghost princess strikes an innocent pose, talisman still on her head. She looks down, complaining that his shirt is uncomfortably tight on her. He awkwardly explains the fit, before asking if she truly plans on staying with him as his wife. She eagerly agrees, declaring her complete devotion and readiness to follow his every command. He reels from the reality of the situation, still struggling to believe the legendary princess is now his live-in ghost wife. With a sigh of resignation, he seems to accept his bizarre new reality. He turns and tells her to follow him, leading the way out of the bedroom. He internally weighs the pros and cons, deciding he needs to test her loyalty since ghosts can be deceptive. In the bathroom, she marvels at her own reflection, innocently asking why he brought her to this strange room. He reminds her of her vow to obey him, ready to test her loyalty. She blushes and eagerly reaffirms her devotion, calling him her husband. A sly smile spreads across his face as he prepares to give his first command. The ghost princess looks back with a mix of confusion and nervous anticipation. He reveals his first command. She must learn the modern ritual of brushing her teeth. He patiently demonstrates how to apply toothpaste, promising to buy her her own brush later. He explains the full process, from brushing to rinsing, as she listens with wide-eyed confusion. She suddenly leans in and licks the toothpaste directly off his brush, leaving him utterly stunned. Misunderstanding his instructions, she curiously tastes the minty paste. She then holds the brush in her mouth, innocently asking if this is the correct way to clean her teeth. He panics, realizing the ghost princess just used his toothbrush, which he considers an indirect kiss. She then takes the cup to rinse, proving to be a surprisingly quick learner. He watches as she diligently follows his instructions, brushing her teeth at the sink. The ancient princess seems to be adapting to modern hygiene rituals with ease. She turns to him for approval, asking if she performed the task correctly. He's momentarily speechless, completely captivated by her stunning appearance. Blushing, he decides she has passed his loyalty test with flying colors. He takes back his toothbrush, firmly establishing some ground rules for their cohabitation. He promises to buy her a new one if she intends to stay, as she finishes the ritual. She thanks him sweetly, and he finds himself patting her head, charmed by her apology. He questions her certainty about their relationship, gently touching the talisman on her forehead. The ghost princess admits she has amnesia, only remembering that he is her husband and she has waited for him endlessly. She touches the talisman on her head, a flicker of confusion crossing her face as he watches her thoughtfully. The princess then recalls she was searching for something important, though the memory remains frustratingly out of reach. He internally questions if her memory loss is the reason she sought him out, suspecting a deeper motive. Staring at her reflection, she grows frustrated by the gaps in her memory. She vaguely recalls having something on her head, wondering if it was a hairpin. He realizes he's been dragged into a supernatural situation far beyond his control. Needing a moment to think, he dismisses her from the bathroom, promising to join her shortly. He ponders the nature of ghosts, suspecting her amnesia is tied to some critical, unfinished business. He turns with a start, a bead of sweat on his face as he processes her words. He looks down to find the ghost princess peering at him from behind, her red eyes fixed on him. With a forced smile, he asks her what she is doing just standing there. She blushes and explains that she is simply waiting for her husband. The two stand in awkward silence, both completely bewildered by the situation. In a sudden move, he swiftly ushers the surprised ghost princess out of the room. He slams the door shut, ordering her to wait outside as she looks up in confusion. Alone in the bathroom, he breathes a heavy sigh of relief, glad to have a moment to himself. He leans against the toilet, wondering if her innocent act is just a clever ruse to hide her true intentions. Yet, he can't help but blush as he recalls her beauty and the fact she calls him her husband. He realizes that unlike the romantic legends, his human-ghost relationship is far from a fairy tale. Resolved, he decides he must find a way to make the ghost princess leave his apartment as soon as possible. He puts on a charming smile and opens the door, ready to put his plan into action. But his confident demeanor shatters as he freezes in utter shock at the scene before him. He finds the ghost princess casually lounging on his bed, engrossed in some reading material. His horror grows as he realizes she's discovered one of his private hidden magazines. He lunges to snatch it back, but she playfully floats out of his reach, still clutching her newfound treasure. Completely flustered, he demands to know where she found the inappropriate literature. She innocently reveals she discovered it under his bed, leaving him utterly mortified. With wide-eyed curiosity, she asks if the activities depicted in the magazine are something she is now expected to do with him. He's completely mortified, his mind racing at the implications of her innocent question. He desperately tries to retrieve the book, cursing the day he acquired it as she easily evades him. The ghost princess studies a page with innocent curiosity, completely misunderstanding the context of the image. Fang Ning finally snatches the magazine back, sternly forbidding her from looking at the forbidden literature. He lectures her about personal boundaries, hiding behind the couch like a scolded child. She sits meekly on the bed and agrees, her innocent expression making it hard for him to stay angry. Changing the subject, he brings up her amnesia, hoping to steer the conversation to safer ground. She suddenly closes the distance between them, her intense gaze catching him completely off guard. He stumbles backward, flustered by her proximity and telling her not to look at him so strangely. The ghost princess recalls the censored images, innocently pointing out that the poses in the book seem different from reality. A mischievous glint appears in the ghost princess's eyes as she has a sudden, brilliant idea. She lunges towards a stunned Fang Ning, attempting to follow the magazine's instructions. The princess explains she's simply following the book's first step for a married couple. A flustered Fang Ning frantically tells her to ignore the magazine's questionable advice. She insists with a determined pout that such actions are reserved only for her husband. He leaps away in a panic, trying to put distance between himself and his overly eager ghost wife. He nervously suggests they talk things over, internally desperate to protect his innocence. His mind wavers between fear and a strange sense of anticipation about the situation. The ghost princess obediently sits on the bed, patiently waiting for his next command. Her sudden compliance leaves Fang Ning feeling an unexpected and confusing wave of frustration. He frantically tries to clear his mind of inappropriate thoughts as the ghost princess watches in confusion. Regaining his composure, he attempts to steer the conversation back to the serious topic of her lost memories. The princess has a sudden, misguided realization, connecting the magazine's content to her current situation. She begins to remove her shirt in a flash of light, leaving Fang Ning utterly horrified by her misunderstanding. With a determined blush, she believes this bold move is the key to making him accept her as his wife. She closes the distance between them, asking for his affection while he is pinned against the wall, completely flustered. Their faces are inches apart as he desperately tries to reject her advances, his resolve weakening. In a last-ditch effort, he throws another shirt at her, frantically demanding she dress more appropriately. She awkwardly puts on the new shirt, still looking disheveled as he turns away in exasperation. He finally sets a firm boundary, stating he'll only accept her if she abandons her misguided attempts at romance. The ghost princess meekly agrees to his conditions, now dressed in his clothes. He asks why she can't magically conjure new attire, and she admits she can't create things from nothing. Blushing, she buries her face in the shirt, confessing she likes it because it carries his scent. A completely flustered Fang Ning orders her to stop, holding up a hand to maintain his personal space. He calms down and begins to analyze the situation, recalling that ghosts are typically invisible. His suspicion grows as he directly questions whether Jiang Li is actually a ghost at all. The princess looks genuinely confused by the term, as if she's never heard it before. She puffs her cheeks out in frustration, denying that she's a ghost, prompting him to ask what she is. Jiang Li falls silent, unable to provide an answer about her own identity. He theorizes she might be a manifestation of a powerful emotion, and resolves to find her lost hairpin to help her move on. He asks about her lost hairpin, but she grabs his sleeve, unable to remember where she lost it. Her train of thought is interrupted as she looks up at him, cutely declaring that she's hungry. Surprised that a ghost can feel hunger, he takes her hand and leads her to the kitchen. He opens the fridge, still questioning whether a supernatural being can even consume human food. Finding nothing else, he offers her a large piece of flatbread from his meager supplies. The princess stares at the offering with a mix of curiosity and anticipation. She takes a determined bite, chomping down on the bread with surprising gusto. After a single bite, she offers the rest back, explaining that it's not nearly enough to satisfy her. He realizes that even ghosts require energy to exist, but human food clearly isn't the right source. He asks what she needs to eat, a sudden fear gripping him as he wonders if she'll drain his life force instead. The ghost princess suddenly senses something outside, the talisman on her head glowing faintly. She excitedly tells Fang Ning she's found a source of delicious food nearby, much to his confusion. He peers out the window, trying to pinpoint the source of this supposed food. Before he can react, her hands grip his shoulders with surprising strength. She unceremoniously lifts him up and flies them both straight out of the apartment window. He panics midair, completely bewildered as she carries him over the glowing city skyline. Still in her grasp, he frantically protests their impromptu flight, worried about his inappropriate footwear. The pair soars through the night sky like a comet, heading towards a distant moonlit forest. Upon landing, he discovers his shoes have been magically swapped for a sturdier pair. He leans against a tree, feeling sick from the journey, as the princess stands ready in the dark woods. Still reeling from the flight, a nauseous Fang Ning demands to know where they've landed. His eyes widen in sudden dawning recognition as he takes in their surroundings. They stand before a derelict school, shrouded in a sinister red aura and swarming with spectral crows. The abandoned Hai Yuan elementary school looms ominously under the pale moonlight. The ghost princess floats casually, identifying the school with a flicker of familiarity. Fang Ning surveys a massive pile of rubble, sensing that something is deeply wrong with this place. He quickly pulls out his phone, a look of disbelief crossing his face as he checks their location on a map. The map confirms their location, pinpointing them in the infamous Hai Yuan village. He's stunned, recalling news reports about the village and realizing it's just a few kilometers from his apartment. A memory surfaces of a company buying the land for an amusement park, forcing all the residents to relocate. He recalls the project was halted by a series of grim and unexplained accidents, causing the entire village to be abandoned. He nervously questions Jiang Li's motive for bringing him to such a notoriously haunted place. The ghost princess excitedly points to the school, declaring it's full of delicious food, much to his horror. A horrifying realization dawns on him. Her idea of food is the malevolent spirits haunting the school. He tries to send her in alone, but she refuses to leave her husband behind, much to his dismay. She firmly grabs his shoulder, her red eyes showing she has no intention of going without him. With no other choice, he reluctantly agrees to accompany her as she pushes him toward the derelict school gate. Clinging to his arm, she eagerly anticipates her spectral meal, leaving him to face the unknown dangers inside. His memory is jogged by a news report about a student who mysteriously vanished from the school a decade ago. He recalls the tragic case of a 6th grader named Lian Xiang, whose disappearance was reported by her distraught parents. He remembers the police search for Lian Xiang was fruitless, as if she had simply vanished into thin air. A month later, her body mysteriously reappeared in the middle of the school, horrifying everyone present. The investigation concluded she had been deceased for a month, yet her body materialized without a single trace. The grim tale continued with the school's manager taking his own life on the premises shortly after. These chilling events cemented the school's haunted reputation, leaving it abandoned to this day. Connecting the grim history, Fang Ning grows increasingly anxious about what awaits them inside. Meanwhile, Zhang Li excitedly senses the food all around them, oblivious to his growing dread. He cautiously suggests they turn back, but the ghost princess seems to have other plans. Her playful demeanor vanishes, replaced by a threatening glare that makes him quickly retract his suggestion. Alone for a moment, he weighs his options, acknowledging her immense power but questioning her true intentions. A golden hairpin shoots down the dark, menacing school hallway toward the waiting ghost princess. They cautiously proceed through the derelict school, Jiang Li clinging to Fang Ning's arm. The ghost princess excitedly points ahead, having located the source of the spectral energy. Her target is the old manager's office, a room steeped in the school's tragic history. She eagerly flies toward the office, leaving a frantic Fang Ning struggling to keep up. Inside, Jiang Li floats curiously around the dusty, abandoned room as Fang Ning enters behind her. Fang Ning surveys the grim office, a sense of unease washing over him. She excitedly points to the desk, identifying the source of the delicious food she sensed. He discovers an old, ornate comb on the desk and carefully blows the dust from its surface. Examining the comb, he finds it feels cold but otherwise unremarkable, seeing nothing strange in the room. To his shock, the ghost princess floats above him, drawing a strange green energy from the comb. She blissfully inhales the spectral essence as it's pulled from the ornate object. Once drained, the now ordinary comb falls limply into his outstretched hand. The ghost princess beams with pure delight, completely satisfied with her unusual snack. She declares her meal was delicious, leaving him to question what she just consumed. He notices the room's chilling aura has vanished as she explains the comb held spirit energy. She excitedly clarifies that spirit energy is the only food that can satisfy her hunger. He contemplates the implications, realizing the school must truly be haunted if such energy exists here. Zhang Li suddenly senses another source of food, unable to pinpoint its exact location, but knowing it's near. Resigned to his fate, he agrees to help her search, following as she eagerly floats ahead. He abruptly stops, a brilliant idea striking him. He realizes this haunted school is the perfect setting for his next viral video. A brilliant plan forms in his mind, combining her needs with his ambitions. He proposes a partnership. She finds spirit energy to eat, and he films it all for cash. The ghost princess looks utterly baffled by his concept of turning their ghost hunt into a business venture. He asks if she can act as his supernatural detector, and she confirms she can sense the direction of the energy. Thrilled by her ability, he eagerly prepares to put his plan into motion, leaving her bewildered. His mind floods with visions of fame and fortune, seeing this as a golden opportunity. He hands her his phone, giving her a quick tutorial on how to be his personal camera woman. She eagerly agrees to her new role, happily calling him her husband as she prepares to film. She skillfully levitates the phone, ready for her new role as camera woman. He pats her head, promising a feast of spirit energy as a reward for her help. The ghost princess cheers with excitement, completely motivated by the promise of food. Fang Ning smirks, realizing his new ghost wife is the ultimate tool for his supernatural exploration videos. He envisions a future of fame and fortune, with viral videos and adoring fans making him rich. After a quick briefing in the derelict hallway, they both agree on the plan. Film first, eat later. He gives her one final, stern instruction to capture everything, no matter how strange it gets. With his ghostly camera operator ready, Fang Ning strikes a confident pose to begin the broadcast. The live stream goes live, and he greets his followers, reintroducing himself to his eager audience. He sets the scene for his viewers, panning across the terrifyingly dark school hallway at 1 a.m. He smirks at the camera, announcing his return to ghost hunting at the infamous Haiyuan school. Standing in the ruins, he explains the school's tragic history, starting with a student's mysterious disappearance 10 years prior. He continues the grim tale, revealing that a string of strange incidents led to the school's eventual demolition and abandonment. With a serious expression, he poses the ultimate question to his viewers. Are these events coincidence, or is this place truly haunted? He leads the virtual tour into the manager's office, dramatically presenting the room as the key to uncovering the truth. As if on cue, the ornate comb levitates, glowing with a sinister red energy for the camera. His ghostly camerawoman, Jiang Li, is momentarily distracted, her eyes fixed on the delicious spirit energy she's been promised. She adorably struggles with her hunger, reminding herself that she can't eat the spectral snack just yet. With renewed focus, she resolves to finish her filming duties before she can claim her reward, as Fang Ning continues his narration. He dramatically recounts the manager's demise in the same room, pointing to the comb as a key clue he's discovered. He confidently presents the comb as the central piece of evidence in his ghost story. His performance is cut short as he looks down in confusion, realizing the comb has vanished from his hand. For the viewers, the comb levitates ominously over the desk, glowing with a sinister red aura. He internally panics, realizing Jiang Li must be creating the effect without his instruction. Suddenly, a monstrous hand with sharp red claws grips his wrist with immense force. He turns in alarm, but sees Jiang Li floating peacefully, confirming she is not the one grabbing him. A cold dread washes over him as he realizes another unseen entity has him in its grasp. A terrifying female spirit with hollow black eyes materializes directly behind him. The malevolent spirit pulls him into a chilling embrace as Jiang Li yawns, distracted. Its hand tightens around his throat, cutting off his breath as his live stream continues to roll. He struggles for air, realizing his body is going rigid in the spirit's grasp. Paralyzed by the spirit's power, he silently pleads for Jiang Li to save him. The malevolent entity offers a chilling smile, enjoying his powerlessness. He desperately looks toward his ghostly partner, shocked she hasn't noticed the attack. Meanwhile, Jiang Li is completely absorbed in her filming duties, dreaming of her delicious reward. His strength fails as he mentally begs for help, feeling his life slipping away. His consciousness begins to fade, his vision darkening as he loses the fight. Suddenly, the beaded bracelet on his wrist erupts with a brilliant golden light. A surge of power courses through him, his eyes glowing with newfound energy as he refuses to give up. The attacking spirit reels back in shock, stunned by his unexpected transformation. He seizes the spirit's wrist, his golden aura repelling her dark energy. The malevolent entity reels in disbelief, stunned that a mortal can physically touch her. With a burst of newfound strength, he sends the spirit flying with a powerful kick. The golden light subsides as he collapses to his knees, gasping for air after the assault. He stares at his hands in confusion, questioning the source of this incredible power. The defeated spirit looks up from the rubble, questioning why he would turn on her. Her claws dig into the floor as she gathers her strength for another furious assault. Enraged, she launches herself at him in a vortex of vengeful energy. A voice urgently echoes in his mind, warning him to get down immediately. He instinctively drops to the ground, narrowly dodging the spirit's high-speed attack. He's amazed by his own body's newfound agility as the spirit watches him from a distance. The vengeful spirit suddenly turns and flees, leaving him confused by her sudden retreat. She rushes towards an old wooden locker at the back of the room, seeking an escape. The spirit phases through the solid door, attempting to hide inside the locker. Jiang Li telepathically encourages him to practice his new skills, still casually filming the encounter. He looks at his glowing hand, realizing his ghostly partner must have granted him this strange power. A confident smirk spreads across his face as he decides to use this power for his livestream. He lunges forward, unleashing a powerful strike against the startled spirit. The spirit desperately tries to block his attack, sensing the danger in his empowered state. He successfully grabs her, vowing not to let her escape, as the success of his video depends on it. He unleashes a final devastating strike, slamming the spirit against the crumbling wall. Pinning her down, he confidently declares that her escape is impossible. The spirit's menacing demeanor shifts, replaced by a subtle, calculating smile. In a flash of light, she magically alters her form, becoming far more alluring. Fang Ning is completely stunned by her sudden and unexpected transformation. The once terrifying entity now looks at him with a captivating and mischievous gaze. She pulls him close, her tone shifting from hostile to seductive as she asks for her freedom. Leaning in, she whispers a tempting offer directly into his ear. The spirit promises to do anything he desires if he agrees to release her. She makes a final, provocative move, attempting to seal the deal with her charm. He blushes, momentarily enjoying the spirit's surprisingly comfortable embrace. His brief enjoyment turns to alarm as he snaps back to his senses. Suddenly, a furious Jiang Li appears behind him, her eyes glowing with jealousy. He shoves the seductive spirit away, scolding her for her inappropriate advances. The spirit looks bewildered, confused by his sudden and illogical outburst. Fang Ning reaffirms his resolve, vowing that her tricks will not break his will. As if to punish him, Zhang Li sends him flying with a powerful whip-like attack. The defeated spirit now looks tearful, begging him to believe she means no harm. She leans in and exhales a strange, alluring mist directly into his face. He panics, steam comically erupting from his head as he realizes he's been affected by her power. He tries to pull away, but the spirit's touch drains his energy with a dark, inky aura. She reveals her deception, gloating that her seductive act was just a ruse to absorb his spiritual power. Now twice as strong, she unleashes a devastating blow that sends him reeling across the room. He's sent tumbling to the floor, completely overpowered by her sudden surge in strength. He staggers to his feet, revealing deep claw marks on his back as she mockingly watches him. The spirit thanks him for the meal, her power now visibly amplified by his stolen energy. Confident in her victory, she lunges forward at incredible speed, declaring his escape is impossible. He surprisingly manages to parry her rapid strikes, blocking her attack with newfound speed. The spirit is stunned, unable to comprehend how his speed is suddenly increasing. He pivots and unleashes a powerful counterattack, sending the shocked spirit flying backward. The enraged spirit lunges forward, her claws aimed directly at his face. He effortlessly blocks her furious assault, the impact echoing through the room. With a confident smirk, he seizes her wrist, taunting her for thinking she could escape. She screams in pure rage, unable to comprehend how a mortal could overpower her. He interrupts her tirade with a sharp slap, scolding her for her violent tendencies. The spirit is left speechless, her menacing expression replaced by one of utter shock. In a comedic shift, he lectures the dazed spirit about the damage she's done to his body. He slams her onto the desk, dramatically declaring his mission to bring justice to the haunted school. Meanwhile, his phone captures the entire epic battle for his livestream viewers. His ghostly camerawoman, Zhang Li, happily continues to film, delighted by the action-packed content. With a single breath, Zhang Li consumes the spirit's dark energy, leaving it powerless. She licks her lips with a blissful expression, completely satisfied with her spectral snack. Fang Ning turns his attention to the now weakened spirit, demanding to know her true identity. The spirit looks down in despair, tears streaming from her hollow eyes as she clutches his sleeve. Her sudden crying fit leaves him completely flustered, worried it makes him look like the villain on his own live stream. She collapses to the floor in a heap, sobbing uncontrollably as dark energy swirls around her. The menacing aura vanishes as she transforms, revealing the form of a young, familiar-looking girl. He recognizes her as Lian Xiang, the student who vanished years ago, and she tearfully asks if he remembers her. She apologizes for her earlier attack, leaving him stunned by this unexpected turn of events. Seeing a golden opportunity for his stream, he immediately begins interrogating her about the school's mysteries. He presses the distraught spirit for information, asking if other entities haunt the school. Through her tears, she reveals that a man forced her into her tragic fate. A dark memory reveals a cruel man, and Fang Ning's anger flares at the thought of someone harming the young girl. He pulls her into a protective embrace, promising to help her find justice. With a confident smile, he reassures the spirit that he will stand by his word. As she prepares to reveal her tormentor's identity, her demeanor suddenly changes. A massive surge of dark energy erupts from her body, catching Fang Ning completely by surprise. He desperately reaches for her as the force blasts him backward across the room. The spirit is violently pulled into a swirling vortex, crying out for him to help her. Her face fills with terror as she's dragged into the darkness, begging to be saved. He braces himself as a torrent of dark tendrils erupts from the vortex, blasting him away. Stunned and battered, he questions the source of this overwhelming dark power. A monstrous male spirit emerges, roaring with fury and accusing him of harming the girl. The hulking entity lunges forward, its fist covered in tormented faces, aiming to obliterate him. Fang Ning grits his teeth, realizing he's facing a far more powerful and terrifying foe. Zhang Li instantly teleports in front of him, her eyes glowing with rage as she moves to protect her husband. She effortlessly conjures a green energy shield, blocking the monster's colossal punch. Despite the shield, the shockwave sends Fang Ning flying, slamming him brutally into the wall. He collapses to the floor, completely incapacitated by the sheer force of the blow. Zhang Li turns with a worried expression, her attention now on her fallen husband. A look of pure fury crosses Zhang Li's face as she sees her husband has been harmed. The monstrous entity strikes again, sending Zhang Li reeling from the force of its dark power. From the ground, a wounded Fang Ning watches in horror, calling out her name. The hulking spirit unleashes a barrage of attacks, but Zhang Li stands defiantly against the overwhelming force. Having escaped the battle, she looks back with concern, searching for her unconscious husband. She cradles a passed-out Fang Ning in a tree, having carried him to safety. Her face lights up with relief as he finally begins to stir. He jolts awake, completely disoriented to find himself perched precariously on a high branch. Losing his balance, he lets out a silent scream as he plummets toward the ground. He miraculously stops his fall just inches from the earth, supported by an unseen force. He lands outside the school, realizing with a jolt that Zhang Li has teleported them to safety. His relief quickly turns to concern as he remembers Lian Xiang and the monstrous spirit they left behind. Zhang Li reveals the entity inside is immensely powerful, admitting it's too much for her to handle. She confesses her own spiritual power is too low to challenge such a formidable foe. Changing the subject, she proudly returns his phone, having successfully filmed their entire battle. With her job done, she excitedly prepares to consume a grotesque trophy from their fight, the monster's severed finger. Fang Ning recoils in disgust, demanding to know where she acquired such a horrifying object. She cutely explains she snatched the snack during their hasty escape, presenting it like a prize. He questions how she could possibly consume it, while she simply shakes her head at his ignorance. She then demonstrates inhaling the dark spiritual energy directly from the monstrous appendage. She floats in a state of pure bliss, having found her monstrous snack absolutely delicious. With a satisfied smile, she exhales a rainbow-colored beam of pure spiritual energy. The beam of energy hits Fang Ning, who is stunned to find his exhaustion has completely disappeared. He notes her spiritual body is now more solid, concluding that dark energy is the best way for her to recharge. He questions her about his rescue and the sudden boost to his physical abilities. She begins to reveal that he was the source of his own newfound power. Her explanation is cut short as a strange power surges through her, seemingly suppressing a critical memory. She deflects his questions, insisting they return home first, and he reluctantly agrees. With the sun rising, she playfully leaps onto his back, ready for their journey home. The pair streaks through the dawn sky, returning to the city as a flash of green light. Back in the apartment, he finds a weakened Zhang Li cowering in a dark corner, seemingly affected by the morning light. He confirms his suspicion by pulling back the curtains, proving that spiritual beings are vulnerable to sunlight. For good measure, he flicks on the light switch, flooding the room with brightness. He collapses onto his bed in his tattered clothes, finally breathing a sigh of relief. His moment of peace is shattered as Zhang Li playfully leaps onto his back, demanding they get cozy. Flustered, he tries to push her away, insisting she sit down and give him some space. He questions her pet-like behavior as she sits obediently on the bed, pouting up at him. Her pout quickly turns into a blissful, blushing smile, clearly enjoying his attention. He points out the flimsy curtains won't block the sun for long, questioning her plan for surviving the day.
She confidently reveals her ultimate solution. She can simply hide inside his body.
She proudly announces they've formed a contract, linking her survival directly to his. Fang Ning is completely stunned by her revelation, demanding to know what she's talking about. He denies any knowledge of a contract, but she innocently reminds him of his earlier proposal. She explains their past interactions sealed their bond, reaching out to him as a memory montage plays. Now in acute form, she explains they are one, and he must find her food for her to regain strength. She clarifies their life link. If she doesn't eat enough to sustain herself, her husband will die. The ghost princess thoughtfully considers the grim implication that his death would also mean her own. With renewed determination, she kneels before him and vows to protect her husband at all costs. A sudden realization dawns on Fang Ning, finally understanding the source of his earlier weakness. He connects the dots further, questioning if the surge of power he felt was also a result of their shared bond. She happily confirms that their new bond allows him to harness her spiritual power. She excitedly explains that the more spirit energy she consumes, the more powerful he will become. A confident smirk crosses his face as he realizes the massive implications of their accidental contract. Meanwhile, back at the haunted school, a dark and tragic scene unfolds. The spirit of Lian Xiang is brutally slammed into the ground by the monstrous entity. The hulking spirit looms over the terrified girl, whose hairpin now lies broken on the floor. The entity furiously chastises her for disobeying his command and revealing his existence. Its shadowy hand grips her throat, reminding her that their survival depends on eliminating others. She gasps for air, her face a mask of terror as the entity's grip tightens. The monstrous spirit pulls her into a possessive embrace, declaring she will never be allowed to leave. The terrified girl defiantly refuses to submit to the entity's will. The monstrous spirit vows to destroy Fang Ning and Zhang Li upon their inevitable return. The next morning, Fang Ning casually orders breakfast at his favorite noodle shop. The friendly chef brings him a bowl, noting his unusually early arrival. A large, steaming bowl of beef noodle soup is placed before him, made exactly to his liking. He thanks the chef and eagerly prepares to dig into his delicious-smelling meal. While eating, he mentally asks Jiang Li about her depleted spiritual power. She appears in his mind, confirming she needs to recover her strength by absorbing soul power. Slurping his noodles, he asks what methods can help her regain her energy. She explains that consuming spirit energy or absorbing the fear of others are the keys to her recovery. He mulls over her words while eating, realizing her power surged when she first met him. A chilling thought strikes him. Just like in horror stories, spiritual entities can feed on human fear. He slams his empty bowl down, connecting the fear from his thousands of livestream viewers to Jiang Li's awakening. After finishing his meal, he confidently tells the chef to put it on his tab and promises to pay later. With a renewed sense of purpose, he strikes a cool pose, ready to put his new plan into action. Back at his desk, he theorizes that edited videos could generate fear just as effectively as live streams. Reviewing the footage, he's amazed by Jiang Li's natural talent for camera work, using magic for perfect shots. A smirk crosses his face as he imagines turning the raw footage into a viral hit, a perfect win-win situation for them both. He decides to contact a professional editing team he's worked with before to ensure the video's quality. He turns to speak with Jiang Li, only to find her completely absorbed in playing a game on her phone. He's startled as the ghost princess suddenly gets uncomfortably close, her green aura flaring. She pouts, complaining that his formal way of addressing her feels distant and makes her unhappy. Flustered, he awkwardly tries to come up with a more intimate nickname to appease her. Her face lights up with pure joy at the new name, leaving him feeling completely outmatched by her affection. Getting back to business, he brings up the powerful entity they encountered at the school the previous night. He asks if she's strong enough to deal with the delicious thing, and she eagerly confirms her readiness for a fight. He smirks, laying out his plan to return to the school, film a complete series, and create a viral sensation. He reaffirms his promise to Lianxiang, determined to uncover the school's dark history and bring her justice. However, Jiang Li's expression turns serious as she reveals she can't face the entity without her lost hairpin. He gets excited, but she clarifies that her memory has only just returned, revealing her hairpin was stolen half a year ago. She pleads with him, explaining that her lost hairpin is incredibly important to her. He pats her head, agreeing to help but questioning if the hairpin alone can defeat the powerful entity. She confidently confirms that with the hairpin, she'll have enough power to consume the monstrous spirit. He scratches his head in frustration, admitting he has no idea how to find it, but she recalls 3 tomb raiders. She reveals that while 2 of the raiders were driven mad by her power, a third escaped with the hairpin. He worries the thief has long since left the city, but she reveals her newfound power allows her to faintly sense the hairpin's location nearby. Energized by this new lead, he lays out their plan: find the hairpin, power her up, and return to the school for their grand finale. The adorable ghost princess eagerly agrees, motivated by the thought of consuming the powerful entity at the school. Deciding time is of the essence, he prepares to search for information on the tomb raiders who stole her hairpin. His investigation is cut short as his phone suddenly lights up with an incoming call, catching him by surprise. He looks at his phone, assuming it's Director Wang calling about the freshly edited video. Instead, he finds a police alert about a string of vicious assaults, adding to his sense that the world is growing stranger. The scene shifts to the sleek Yang Financial Center, home to a struggling video editing studio. Inside, a stressed-out editor lies slumped over his desk, overwhelmed by the lack of work. His colleague voices their shared anxiety, worrying they'll soon be out of a job and money. Another team member confirms their only recent project was from Fang Ning 2 days ago. The mention of a previous job triggers a panicked memory for one editor, who recalls a terrifying near-death experience. The team contemplates quitting, acknowledging that while their director is kind, the studio is clearly in trouble. As they lament their financial woes, their boss, Director Wang, bursts into the office with an announcement. He triumphantly holds up his phone, joyfully declaring that a flood of new jobs has just arrived. Director Wang watches as his once despondent team is now hard at work. One of the editors, still skeptical, cautiously asks about the details of this new project. The director excitedly reveals the client is none other than Fang Ning, their previous high-risk employer. The editor's face drains of color, flashing back to their terrifying graveyard livestream with him. His colleagues agree, pleading with their boss to refuse the job, but the director clarifies it's only for video editing. He lays out the irresistible offer: a hefty payment up front with a bonus if the video becomes a hit. The skeptical editor pulls up the raw footage, doubting it can stand out in a saturated market of ghost hunting videos. The team agrees that their last adventure was a fluke, but admit that just editing the footage is a much safer prospect. Director Wang grabs his employee, passionately insisting this new footage is different and destined for viral fame. With a determined gleam in his eye, he hits play, convinced this single video could save their studio and shake up the entire industry. The editing team watches the raw footage, their faces filled with apprehension as Fang Ning's introduction plays. One editor suddenly shouts in terror, pointing frantically at the screen as the scene escalates. On screen, the ornate comb floats ominously above the desk, defying all logical explanation. His fear is so intense he grabs his colleague in a panicked chokehold who struggles to breathe. He quickly apologizes, trying to dismiss the levitating object as a simple, unimpressive trick. But his skepticism shatters as the video reveals a terrifying female spirit attacking Fang Ning. The entire team recoils in unison, utterly horrified by the paranormal encounter unfolding on screen. They desperately try to rationalize the footage, questioning if it's just clever CG or a hidden mechanism. The most experienced editor sweats, admitting that in his 10 years he's never seen anything like it and can find no trace of post-production. The video continues, showcasing the entire epic battle, from the girl's tragic story to the clash with the monstrous entity. The video ends, leaving the editing team stunned and admitting the raw footage is genuinely terrifying. They become completely engrossed, questioning the truth behind Lian Xiang's tragic story and the 10-year-old mystery. Director Wang presents his own research, holding up a newspaper clipping that confirms the girl's identity. He rallies his team, convinced this video is their ticket to fame and fortune, especially with a promised bonus. The thought of a massive bonus instantly erases their fear, replaced by visions of wealth. Now fully motivated, the team eagerly gets to work, determined to make the video a viral hit. 4 hours later, the lead editor unveils the final cut, complete with a chilling title card and enhanced effects. Director Wang praises the editor's work, impressed by how much scarier the final version is. Brimming with confidence, the director decides to skip the review process and upload the video immediately. A more cautious team member objects, insisting they should get Fang Ning's final approval first. Director Wang confidently overrules his team, insisting Fang Ning trusts their skills and wants the video uploaded immediately. The scene shifts to the massive headquarters of the video platform where the video will be reviewed. Inside, the content moderation team works diligently, unaware of the terrifying footage heading their way. A jaded video reviewer, Tao Ping, slumps at his desk, preparing for another monotonous day. He pulls up Fang Ning's video, cynically noting its title about the Haiyuan school tragedy, expecting another cliché. While making tea, he complains about the flood of gimmicky horror content, though he admits the thumbnail is well made. His boredom shatters as a shocking image on screen makes his eyes widen in pure disbelief. The monstrous spirit's terrifying face flashes in the video, its demonic grin filling the monitor. He lurches back in fright, spilling the boiling water from his kettle all over himself. His pained shouts startle the entire office, drawing the concerned stares of his co-workers. Despite the pain, the reviewer is captivated, declaring the video is far too exciting. He immediately calls his co-workers over, insisting they have to see this incredible footage. The team gathers, intrigued by his rare enthusiasm as he proclaims it's a masterpiece destined to go viral. Challenging their skepticism, he confidently hits play, letting the video speak for itself. A stunned silence falls over the office as the entire team watches, completely transfixed by the screen. Once the video ends, they're left wanting more, unanimously agreeing it was a brilliant piece of work. The reviewer marvels at its movie-like quality, questioning how such professional effects were achieved on location. Curious about the creator, the team leans in to see the face of the mastermind behind the video. Meanwhile, the mastermind himself, Fang Ning, is completely oblivious, letting out a massive yawn. Following Zhang Li's clues, he investigates a lead about 3 mysterious figures seen near the princess tomb 6 months prior. His research reveals that while police caught 2 of the tomb raiders, the third managed to escape. The 2 who were apprehended were found on the verge of a complete mental breakdown, terrified by what they saw. The case was a dead end for police, as the traumatized raiders were the only witnesses, and the tomb showed no signs of entry. He speculates that the third thief might be connected to the Haiyuan school, linking the 2 mysteries together. Back on the street, he asks Zhang Li to confirm if her senses are still leading them in the right direction. She excitedly materializes, her ghostly form glowing as she confirms the hairpin's presence is getting much stronger. He quickly scolds her for popping out in public, worried that a pedestrian might spot her. Gently coaxing her back inside his body, he promises to let her out once they're somewhere more private. He notices the streets are eerily empty, connecting it to the recent police warning for citizens to stay home at night. Turning down a dark alley, he asks his ghostly partner to pinpoint their final destination. A miniature version of Zhang Li materializes on his hand, pointing him in the right direction. He stares in confusion at her new cat-like form, wondering what has happened to her. Her guidance leads him to a cordoned-off alley where a crowd has gathered around a crime scene. He sees grim evidence markers near a spilled bottle and a skeletal hand, signaling a gruesome discovery. On the ground lies a desiccated corpse within a chalk outline, its state shocking the onlookers. A veteran detective arrives, his presence indicating the severity of the unusual case. The grizzled detective surveys the scene, asking his subordinate for an assessment of the strange death. The crowd murmurs in fear, disturbed by the victim's mummified appearance. Blending into the crowd, Fang Ning overhears that this is the third such incident, linking it to his own investigation. The lead detective's sharp gaze sweeps over the onlookers, seeming to pause on Fang Ning. The junior officer asks the lead detective for his professional opinion on the baffling crime scene. He reports the victim died with no signs of struggle, and the killer expertly evaded all surveillance cameras. The autopsy reveals the cause of death was heart failure, despite the victim having no history of heart conditions. Pressed for a theory, the younger officer suggests it's a series of random, untraceable murders. He speculates the killer used a sophisticated poison, leaving no evidence behind at the scene. The lead detective dismisses this, noting the body's mummified state points to a far more unnatural cause of death. The frustrated officer admits he's out of ideas, joking that the killer must be a ghost. His superior startles him, cryptically suggesting that the impossible might be the only explanation left. The detective reveals a public warning has been issued for citizens to stay home, leaving the case for another department. He walks away, ominously telling his partner that the world is far more complex than he can imagine. The scene shifts to a desolate, abandoned building under the pale light of the moon. Inside, the third Tomb Raider kneels in a dark hallway, performing a ritual with a single red candle. He holds up Zhang Li's stolen hairpin, announcing to an unseen master that the time has come. His ritual summons a monstrous, multi-eyed entity that looms over him in the darkness. The creature's massive mouth twists into a hungry grin, eager to begin its nightly hunt. The terrified raider confirms their readiness, his face pale with dread as he serves his master. The entity seems pleased with its servant, its many eyes glowing with malevolent red light. A smaller, demonic version of the entity appears on his shoulder, reminding him of his purpose. The creature promises him protection from the authorities in exchange for his continued service. It boasts about the power of the stolen hairpin, now a weapon for its dark deeds. The entity boasts that the stolen hairpin's power can easily overwhelm both spirits and humans. The Tomb Raider pulls up his hood, preparing for one final decisive hunt tonight. With a dark resolve, he declares that the final hunt is about to commence. He channels the hairpin's malevolent power, its dark red tendrils swirling around him. The scene cuts to a neon-lit bar, the next stop in Fang Ning's desperate search. From a high vantage point, he scans the street below, asking for an update on their target. Inside, he takes a drink as Zhang Li reports that the hairpin's trail has suddenly gone cold. He realizes with dawning horror that the mummified victim from the crime scene was their previous target. Suddenly, Zhang Li reappears, excitedly pointing as she senses the hairpin is now very close. He peers outside, where Zhang Li confirms the hairpin is among a group of people entering the bar. He bolts from the bar, leaving a bewildered waiter in his wake as he rushes to pursue his target. The waiter stares at the paltry sum of money left on the table for a glass of water. In a comedic outburst, the waiter fumes over the stingy customer who occupied a table for hours. Now inside a packed nightclub, he struggles against the noise, asking Zhang Li to pinpoint their target. She explains that the sheer number of people on the dance floor is disrupting her ability to sense the hairpin. He resolves to check each person individually, hoping to trigger her senses when he gets close. An alluring woman with pink hair suddenly approaches him, offering to buy him a drink. She leans in with a tempting proposition, leaving him flustered as he tries to politely decline. The woman pulls him into a close embrace, playfully teasing him about his apparent shyness. Unseen by the woman, a jealous Zhang Li pinches his side with a glowing green hand. He yelps in pain from the spectral pinch, accidentally shoving the surprised woman away from him. The woman tumbles to the floor, drawing the attention of other clubgoers who mistake it for a dispute. A group of menacing figures in suits surrounds him, their leader accusing him of causing trouble on their turf. He tries to de-escalate the situation, nervously explaining it's a misunderstanding while hinting at his own power. The leader dismisses his explanation, ordering his men to take their guest to a more private room. As one of the men grabs his shoulder, Fang Ning's expression hardens, ready for the inevitable confrontation. He swiftly counters, grabbing the man's wrist with surprising strength, causing him to cry out in pain. Using the man as a shield, he finds himself quickly surrounded by the rest of the armed group. The leader claps slowly, mockingly impressed by his fighting skills but remaining completely unfazed. Standing defiantly over his downed opponent, Fang Ning is warned that he's in a place where recklessness is not tolerated. He internally panics about the escalating situation, while Jiang Li gleefully suggests a more violent solution. The enforcers move in, swinging their batons down in a coordinated attack. Elsewhere, a drunken businessman stumbles through a dark alley, eager to get home to his family. A mysterious hooded figure suddenly appears, catching the man before he can fall. The grateful man thanks his savior, mistaking the sinister figure for a good Samaritan. He drunkenly invites the stranger to his home, offering to treat him to a meal. The hooded figure reveals a malevolent grin, informing the man he won't be making it home. The businessman looks down in horror, finding the stolen hairpin now embedded in his chest. The Tomb Raider whispers into his victim's ear, his eye glowing with dark power as he seals the man's fate. Now under a dark influence, the man shuffles away as the Tomb Raider offers him up to an unseen entity. The monstrous entity reveals itself, its many red eyes staring down at its hypnotized victim. The man's will crumbles as he blankly questions his own destination, his mind no longer his own. He stumbles into a dead-end alley, completely disoriented and trapped by an unseen force. Shadowy tendrils erupt from the ground, wrapping around his limbs and holding him fast. The hulking entity materializes before him, declaring the alley will be his final resting place. He lets out a silent scream of agony as the dark energy completely consumes him. A smaller, childlike version of the monster watches with glee as its tendrils crush the life from its victim. The demonic creature begins to drain the man's life force, pulling green spiritual energy from his body. It gloats about its plan to absorb his soul, promising the power boost will help it achieve a new level of strength. The victim's body is violently contorted as the last of his spiritual energy is ripped away. The victim's eye fills with despair as he accepts his grim and certain fate. But a mysterious figure in a red hoodie suddenly intervenes, kicking the monster away from its prey. The powerful blow sends the demonic entity flying backward, slamming it hard against the alley wall. The newcomer lands gracefully, watching the explosive impact with a cool and unfazed demeanor. He stands confidently over the dazed victim, having single-handedly thwarted the attack. Turning with a reassuring smile, he casually checks on the well-being of the man he just saved. The terrified victim clutches his throat, stammering his thanks while still reeling from the ordeal. Utterly spent, the man collapses to the ground, expressing his gratitude to his mysterious rescuer. The rescuer's expression hardens as an unseen partner confirms the stolen hairpin is on the creature. Enraged, the monstrous entity reforms into a swirling vortex, demanding to know its opponent's identity. The demonic entity identifies its opponent as a soul hunter, demanding he step aside. The rescuer scoffs, refusing to let the creature harm an innocent person. Enraged by his defiance, the entity prepares to consume him instead. Dark tendrils erupt, ensnaring the hero as he sarcastically critiques the monster's timing. He recoils in disgust, repulsed by the slimy, dark appendages. The creature gloats, confident its soul technique will finish him for his interference. With a single punch, he unleashes a blast of green energy, shattering the shadowy restraints. He lands gracefully, still complaining about the disgusting feeling of the attack. The monstrous entity stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend how its power was so easily broken. Surrounded by a golden aura, the hero smirks, attributing his victory to his superior looks. He declares the tables have turned and launches a powerful counterattack. His golden punch rips through the entity's shadowy form, which retreats in disbelief. He flips through the air, effortlessly evading the creature's desperate retaliation. Zhang Li suddenly materializes behind the monster, consuming its dark energy before it can escape. She savors her spectral meal, looking completely satisfied with the delicious power boost. The enraged entity realizes its hard-earned power has been stolen and decides it must flee. Landing firmly on his feet, he demands the creature surrender the stolen hairpin. He lunges forward, attempting to snatch the precious item from the fleeing demonic form. The creature defiantly prepares for a final clash as Fang Ning's glowing hand descends upon it. He unleashes a devastating beam of pure energy, obliterating the entity in a brilliant flash. The blast leaves behind the small defeated demonic creature writhing on the ground. He asks Zhang Li for their next move, and she eagerly suggests consuming the weakened entity. With her hairpin now in hand, Zhang Li's form changes as she reaches for her spectral prey. She plunges the hairpin into the creature, unleashing its purifying power to end the fight. A massive beam of green energy erupts from the hairpin, completely vaporizing the demonic entity. As the last remnants of dark energy fade, the duo lands back in the alley, their mission complete. Their victory is cut short as a police officer suddenly appears, ordering Fang Ning to freeze. To his surprise, Jiang Li yanks his hair from within, causing him to cry out in pain. The officer mistakes his pained reaction for resistance and grabs him, repeating his command. The junior officer proudly reports to his superior that he has successfully apprehended the suspect. The lead detective aims his gun, silently taking control of the tense standoff. He holsters his weapon, ordering his subordinate to release Fang Ning, certain he's not their man. Fang Ning calmly pats the junior officer on the back, who flinches in surprise. The young officer points to the victim, insisting the crime scene matches the others and questioning who else could be the killer. As Fang Ning proclaims his innocence, the lead detective confirms the previous crime scenes had no other traces. The senior detective explains that a meticulous killer wouldn't make the simple mistake of being seen on camera. Frustrated by this logic, the junior officer turns his attention back to Fang Ning, demanding to know who he is. Before he can answer, the dazed victim points to Fang Ning, identifying him as his savior. The officer grabs the man, urgently questioning him as the first and only survivor of the serial attacks. The traumatized victim struggles to speak, his face a mask of terror as he tries to recall his attacker. The junior officer radios for backup and an ambulance supporting the dazed victim. The lead detective sizes up Fang Ning, asking if he's a soul hunter, a term that catches him off guard. Fang Ning internally connects the term to a potential paranormal organization and decides to play dumb, wary of becoming a target. The detective notes his apparent ignorance, questioning if Fang Ning's abilities are newly awakened. He easily sees through the facade, telling the young man that his surprise is written all over his face. The detective introduces himself as Captain Zhang Tiandao, offering some unsolicited advice on how to be a better liar. He gives Fang Ning his card, extending a surprising offer of future assistance. Fang Ning gratefully accepts, and the detective warns him to be careful when dealing with supernatural entities. As Fang Ning departs down the alley, the detective watches with a smirk, intrigued by their mysterious encounter. The scene pulls back to reveal the sprawling city, with the detective on the street and Fang Ning now perched on a distant rooftop. Elsewhere, the defeated Tomb Raider stands on a rooftop, clutching his last remaining demonic servant. He seethes with rage, his hard-earned soul power stolen, and vows to remember this humiliation. His demonic familiar obediently agrees, its dark energy swirling as they prepare to flee the city. With a final, determined leap, he vanishes into the rainy city skyline to hunt another day. Back on the chase, Fang Ning asks for a location, and Jiang Li confirms the injured hairpin is just ahead. He questions how the demonic creature managed to escape their grasp during the chaos. She explains that the detective's powerful yang aura forced her to remain hidden, preventing her from acting. He asks about the creature's soul technique, which she describes as a black mud she was unable to break free from on her own. She elaborates that soul techniques are powerful spells, requiring overwhelming strength to overcome the caster's will. She clarifies the difference, explaining that while he used spiritual energy, soul power is a unique force wielded only by spirits. She explains that in a life-or-death crisis, humans can sometimes unleash their own latent spiritual power. He questions her knowledge given her amnesia, and she credits her returning memories to the delicious food he's provided. He concludes that he failed to break the soul technique simply because his spiritual power was too weak. She corrects him, clarifying that his power was amplified, but he only uses it for simplistic physical boosts. He asks how to properly release his spiritual energy, and she admits it usually requires prolonged practice. A brilliant idea strikes her as she excitedly announces she has a much faster solution. She materializes in front of him, instructing him to focus his senses and follow her lead. To his complete astonishment, she pulls him into a sudden and unexpected kiss. The world around them dissolves into a surreal, watery abyss as they float together in a shared mental space. His eyes widen in shock as he finally comprehends the true feeling of spiritual energy flowing through him. She explains they've entered his sea of consciousness, a spiritual world only accessible through their contract. He panics, worried their target will escape while they're distracted by this spiritual training session. She reassures him that time moves differently here, giving them the perfect opportunity to unlock his true potential. He is suddenly mortified as their clothes vanish in a pink mist, leaving them in a surprisingly intimate training scenario. She calmly explains that clothing hinders the perception of spiritual energy and had to be removed for the lesson. Blushing, he closes his eyes and focuses, attempting to feel the flow of energy as she instructed. She guides his hand, her touch igniting a golden spark as she teaches him to mobilize his inner power. Now in a meditative state, he channels the immense energy, his body glowing as she embraces him from behind. Back in the real world, he stands in the alley, crackling with a powerful golden aura from his accelerated training. His eyes now burn with a fierce golden light, a clear sign that he has awakened a new level of power. He finally grasps the true nature of his newly awakened spiritual power. He tests his new strength, launching himself into the sky with a powerful burst of energy. His ghostly partner materializes on his shoulder, pointing him directly toward their fleeing target. With renewed purpose, he gives chase across the city rooftops, closing in on the escaped Tomb Raider. The hooded figure desperately leaps between buildings, trying to outrun his relentless pursuer. A look of panic crosses the Tomb Raider's face as he realizes he can't shake his tail. His demonic familiar reveals that only Zhang Li's presence saved Fang Ning from its earlier soul attack. The familiar senses Zhang Li's immense power closing in, urging its master to escape before it's too late. The desperate Tomb Raider lands near a parked motorcycle, planning a much faster getaway. He confidently walks towards his escape vehicle, boasting that their base is protected by traps that will ensnare any pursuer. The Tomb Raider prepares to start his motorcycle, believing he understands his pursuer's tactics. But Fang Ning appears above him, correctly guessing he's using a human accomplice to throw off the police. Casually lounging on a traffic light, he identifies the man as the escaped Tomb Raider from the princess's tomb. He then reveals the raider's name, Ku Jing, having already seen his wanted poster. The Tomb Raider's face contorts in shock and fear, his identity completely exposed. Fang Ning leaps into action, launching a powerful fiery kick toward his target. The demonic familiar warns him to back off as its master draws a weapon in defense. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Fang Ning demands the hairpin in exchange for a swift end. The creature smirks, pulling the hairpin from its chest as it confirms the item is Fang Ning's true goal. It then transforms the hairpin into a glowing green blade, preparing to grant his wish with deadly force. Fang Ning is suddenly engulfed by a swirling tide of dark, malevolent energy. The demonic familiar, enraged by his defiance, unleashes the full might of its shadowy master. It laments having to expend its precious original soul power for this devastating attack. The creature vows to make him suffer, sensing the powerful soul of Zhang Li within him. A powerful soul technique erupts, trapping Fang Ning in a swirling vortex of dark energy. But the demonic familiar watches in disbelief as Fang Ning effortlessly shatters its supposedly unbreakable trap. Its shadowy master lunges forward, determined to destroy the one who broke its technique. Fang Ning, now crackling with his own fiery spiritual power, prepares a powerful counter. He unleashes a massive torrent of golden energy, overwhelming the creature's dark assault. The familiar can only stare in horror, unable to comprehend how its ultimate attack was so easily defeated. The demonic familiar reels back, shocked that a mere human could possess such overwhelming power. In a final desperate move, it raises the hairpin sword, refusing to accept its impending defeat. But Zhang Li bursts forth from Fang Ning, ready to deliver the decisive final blow herself. She hurtles through the air, channeling her immense spiritual energy for a single, focused strike. Her attack collides with the creature, creating a massive explosion that engulfs the battlefield. As the dust settles, Fang Ning reaches for the falling hairpin, believing the fight is finally won. But dark tendrils suddenly erupt, ensnaring his fist just as he's about to claim his prize. He looks up in shock as the familiar uses its remaining power to bind his arm completely. The creature uses the connection to launch itself away, making a desperate escape with the hairpin. However, Zhang Li calmly begins to inhale the creature's escaping energy, much to its horror. The demonic familiar panics, its form stretching as it desperately tries to reclaim the stolen hairpin. Fang Ning smirks, his fiery aura flaring as he declares that with the hairpin in his possession, the fight is over. He unleashes a devastating beam of golden energy, intending to send the creature to its final rest. As the creature's form dissolves, it desperately pleads for the return of its soul instrument, its only hope for evolution. It struggles against its demise, refusing to accept defeat before achieving its revenge. A memory surfaces, revealing the spirit's origin as a terrified child calling for its mother. The vision shows the child's final, agonizing moments overwhelmed by a dark, watery fate. Back in the present, the last wisp of the creature's soul dissipates in front of a stunned Fang Ning. He clutches his head as fragmented memories from the defeated spirit flood his mind. Zhang Li explains the creature's tragic origin, revealing it was a drowned baby, a spirit born from a cruel and ancient tradition. The vision reveals the horrifying tradition of parents ending their own children's lives in water. She continues, explaining the baby's spirit was born from resentment and a desperate will to live. This vengeful spirit then projected its suffering onto its victims, venting its anger on the world. He turns the question to Zhang Li, wondering what powerful obsession has kept her in the world for so long. Their conversation is interrupted as the Tomb Raider makes a desperate lunge with a knife. Fang Ning easily catches his wrist, surprised the man didn't take the chance to escape. With a flick of his fingers, he effortlessly shatters the steel blade into two pieces. The Tomb Raider stumbles back in disbelief, his only weapon now useless on the ground. He clutches his head in terror, realizing that without his spiritual protector, he is completely doomed. Fang Ning pins the panicked man against a wall, demanding he answer his questions. Terrified, the Tomb Raider reluctantly agrees to cooperate with Fang Ning's interrogation. Fang Ning demands to know how the man became entangled with the demonic soul infant. The Raider recalls meeting a shady, masked figure named Chang Baidao, who offered him a high-paying job. Desperate for cash, he admits to recruiting 2 of his old partners for the lucrative but dangerous task. The name Chang Baidao piques Fang Ning's interest, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. The man explains Chang Baidao is a powerful information broker who provides leads on valuable, unearthed items. He reveals the job was to dig at the princess's tomb, using a mysterious jar provided by the broker. Overcome by curiosity, he opened the jar early, unleashing the terrifying ghost infant inside. The spirit tormented him all night before possessing his body and taking complete control of his mind. He recalls waking up at the tomb just as the spirit emerged from the ground, now holding the hairpin, and latched onto him once more. He recalls how shadowy figures erupted from the ground, dragging his 2 companions into the jungle while he was forced to serve the entity. The spirit then made him an offer he couldn't refuse: wealth and protection from the police in exchange for his cooperation. Breaking down, he confesses his desperation, revealing he needed money for his severely ill son and couldn't afford to die. Fang Ning coldly reminds him that his victims also had families, who are now suffering because of his actions. The Tomb Raider collapses to his knees, begging for mercy and pleading not to be handed over to the authorities. He tearfully admits his unforgivable crimes, explaining his son has no one else left in the world. Grabbing the man, Fang Ning angrily tells him that the real apology is owed to the families who lost everything. He asks his final question about the location of the mysterious broker, but the Raider claims Chang Baidao's whereabouts are unknown. The man explains their contact is entirely remote, with jobs posted online and payments made through offshore accounts. Cutting him off, Fang Ning impatiently demands the man hand over his phone immediately. Fang Ning gives the Raider his contact information, ordering him to report any future contact from the mysterious broker. He tosses the phone back to the stunned Raider, who fumbles to catch it. The man is shocked that Fang Ning is letting him go instead of turning him in to the police. Fang Ning advises him to use his ill-gotten gains to save his son and make amends with the victims' families. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the Tomb Raider bows deeply, promising to do what's right. As he walks away, Fang Ning offers one last piece of advice: to ensure his son doesn't follow his father's dark path. The man rises, his expression filled with a newfound resolve after hearing Fang Ning's words. He turns and walks away, ready to face the consequences of his actions. With a final look back, he thanks Fang Ning and vows to surrender to the authorities once his affairs are in order. Alone on the street, Fang Ning reflects on his decision, conflicted about letting a guilty man walk free, even for a good reason. He reflects on his decision, seeing a parallel between the Raider's son and his own past. Zhang Li snaps him out of his thoughts, praising his newfound strength and recent victory. Overjoyed, she leaps into his arms, celebrating the recovery of her precious hairpin. He gently pushes her back, shifting focus to the mysterious broker, Chang Baidao, and the conspiracy behind the theft. The name makes her pause, and she racks her brain, trying to recall any connection to the mysterious figure. After a long pause, she simply says she doesn't remember, much to his frustration. She gets defensive, explaining that her memories and powers are still recovering and will take time to return fully. He apologizes for pressing her, and she cheerfully suggests they head home for now. As they walk, he decides to put the mystery aside, content that they've thwarted their enemy's plans for now. His moment of peace is broken as Zhang Li suddenly leans in close, startling him with her proximity. He looks away, flustered, as she explains she's too tired to do anything herself. He formally presents her with the recovered hairpin, which she accepts with a gentle gaze. She blushes, playfully asking him to put the hairpin in her hair for her. Despite his feigned annoyance, he gently places the hairpin in her long, white hair. A close-up on her eye reveals a sudden, vivid memory of a man from another time. The vision reveals a man in ancient attire, who proudly declares he retrieved the hairpin just for her. The memory continues, showing the man and a past version of herself in an intimate historical setting. Back in the present, he holds her chin just as the man in her memory did, asking if she likes it. The powerful memory overwhelms her, and tears of a forgotten joy stream down her face. His eyes widen as he understands the hairpin has unlocked a powerful memory of pure joy. Overwhelmed by the memory, she tearfully professes her love for the man from her past. The powerful emotion sends a ripple through her very being, like a single drop in a vast ocean. Back in the present, a massive surge of spiritual energy erupts from her, pushing a startled Fang Ning away. Lost in the memory, she floats in the air, her own power now fully awakened by the hairpin. The raw energy shreds her modern attire, beginning a stunning transformation. Fang Ning comically complains, more worried about his disappearing clothes than the supernatural event. As her hoodie dissolves, an elegant, traditional anklet materializes on her foot. The transformation completes, revealing her in a beautiful ancient gown, her true form restored. Her eyes flash with a brilliant red light, her restored power now fully under her control. She shares a portion of her immense spiritual energy with Fang Ning, who is shocked by the incredible power boost. He cries out as the overwhelming golden energy surges through him, a fiery pillar erupting into the sky. Elsewhere, two mysterious figures on a rooftop notice the brilliant beacon of power piercing the night sky. The woman notes the powerful but unfamiliar energy fluctuations, confirming the source is not one of their allies. Her partner suggests they finish dispatching the remaining demonic entities before investigating the disturbance. The scene reveals their targets, a horde of grotesque, shadowy demons preparing to attack. The female fighter leaps into the fray, confronting the monstrous entities head-on. Wielding a staff and surrounded by red energy, she confidently prepares to unleash her power. With a single sweeping strike of her weapon, she cuts through the demonic horde in a flash of red light. The scene shifts to a dark, imposing skyscraper, hinting at another group of observers. Inside, two well-dressed men watch the distant energy surge while standing over a bound captive. A man named Yuan Tun notes the soul infant's aura has vanished, annoyed that his subordinate drew too much attention. His partner, the broker Chang Baidao, dismisses the loss as a failed experiment, but orders an investigation to avoid answering to the doctor. Yentun moves menacingly toward their captive, ready to carry out his boss's grim order. The terrified captive pleads for his life, reminding them of their broken promise to release him. With a cruel smile, Yuan Tun reveals his deception and silences the man's pleas permanently. His grim task completed, Yuan Tun turns and walks away from the now silent room. A single smoldering cigarette falls to the pavement, marking a quiet end to the brutal encounter. Back on the street, Captain Zhang stares up at the sky, still pondering the massive energy surge he witnessed. His subordinate asks if something is wrong, but the detective brushes it off, claiming he's just forgotten something. He dismisses his partner for the night, remaining alone on the street as he contemplates the night's strange events. The junior officer notices his superior's distraction, asking if something is amiss. Meanwhile, Fang Ning gasps for air, reeling from the overwhelming surge of power. He steadies himself, remarking that the immense energy almost made him explode. Zhang Li senses someone approaching and urges him to make a swift departure. The pair streaks across the night sky, a blur of green energy heading for home. Safely inside, Fang Ning peeks out the window, worried their light show will make the morning news. She reassures him that the spiritual energy is invisible to ordinary people. He questions the source of the immense power, and she explains it's only a tenth of her full strength. Fang Ning is utterly floored, struggling to comprehend the true scale of her power. He eagerly asks about her memories, and she confirms that some have indeed returned. She clutches her head, explaining that her memories are still fragmented and incomplete. He gently reassures her, telling her not to force the memories to return. She leaps into his arms, affectionately declaring her unwavering loyalty to him. Their tender moment is cut short by an urgent notification on his phone. A message from his video editor announces that their latest ghost hunt has gone viral. He scrambles to his computer, with Zhang Li floating excitedly beside him to see for herself. He stares in shock, realizing their video has amassed over 1 million views in just 3 hours. The comment section explodes with activity, confirming the video is a massive, trending hit. He realizes with glee that this video's popularity has already surpassed their last adventure. He daydreams of a mountain of cash from endorsements, his mind already on the profits. His celebration is cut short as he finds himself in a strange, watery void, completely bewildered. Zhang Li urgently appears, telling him to look inside his own sea of consciousness. The world dissolves as they plunge together into the vast cosmic depths of his mind. He stares in utter disbelief at the incredible sight unfolding before him. A swirling vortex of countless golden fish, made of pure energy, surrounds them in the spiritual abyss. She excitedly reveals that each fish is a manifestation of fear, the very power they've been collecting from their viewers. She moves in close, instructing him to close his eyes and feel the energy around them. In a symbolic embrace, she guides him to absorb the raw power, their spiritual forms merging with the golden energy. Together, they become the calm center of the swirling vortex of spiritual energy, absorbing its immense power. Back in the real world, he sits in a meditative state, a powerful aura swirling around him as he processes his newfound strength. He realizes this new power is the fear generated by their viral ghost hunting video. Feeling the surge of strength, he boasts that he can now defeat a soul infant on his own. The long day's events finally catch up to him as he kneels, exhausted. He mentally lists the day's mysteries: soul infants, soul hunters, and the enigmatic detective. In the shower, he reflects on the dangerous new world he's entered, knowing there's no turning back. With renewed determination, he vows to survive and find the people he's looking for. Later that night, Zhang Li watches over him as he tries to get some rest. Her touch on his forehead causes him to blush, her presence still flustering him. Her form begins to shift as green energy swirls around her, her ancient gown dissolving away. In her ethereal state, she leans over the sleeping Fang Ning and playfully pulls back his covers. In her ethereal form, Zhang Li gazes at the sleeping Fang Ning, a talisman on her forehead as she reflects on a 1,000-year wait. She embraces him, her long search finally over, while he remains trapped in a restless sleep. His face contorts in his sleep, caught in the grip of a powerful and disturbing nightmare. A dark memory surfaces, filled with the haunting image of a shadowy screaming face and a spilled gas can. The vision reveals a young boy watching helplessly as the celestial orphanage burns to the ground. In the memory, the boy's eyes glow with a fierce red light, his expression hardening with a chilling resolve. The scene transitions to a quiet, modern home as a new day begins. Elsewhere, a young man with blonde hair starts his morning routine, brushing his teeth in the bathroom. His routine is interrupted as his phone buzzes insistently on the counter, flooded with notifications. He picks up the device, surprised by the sheer volume of messages he's received so early. He reacts in shock, discovering his viral video has been knocked down to second place. The creator throws a fit, unable to believe a newcomer's video gained 3 million views overnight. He storms over to his computer, eager to see what kind of content managed to dethrone him. With a fiery determination, he puts on his headphones to analyze his new rival's work. Leaning back in defeat, he admits the video is incredible and that he's been fairly beaten. A sly grin appears as he scrolls through the comments, deciding to engage with the new creator. He decides to use his own influence to boost the newcomer's popularity even further. His repost sends waves through the comment section, with fans buzzing about the rising star. The scene transitions to a quiet morning, with sunlight streaming through an open window. Meanwhile, Fang Ning and Zhang Li rest peacefully together, oblivious to their newfound fame. Fang Ning sleeps soundly, mumbling happily about a feast of steamed buns and rice cakes. His dream self floats blissfully on a giant bun, surrounded by a banquet of his favorite foods. The dream continues as he reaches out for a giant, soft rice cake, lost in his culinary fantasy. His dream self's eyes sparkle with delight, imagining the delicious texture of the food. Waking up, he wonders if it was all a dream, as the sensation felt incredibly real. His eyes snap open in shock as he realizes what he was actually holding on to. He discovers he's been cuddling with Zhang Li all night, leaving him utterly stunned. Leaping out of bed, he points at her, completely flustered by the unexpected situation. Zhang Li wakes up innocently, asking if he's finally awake, unaware of his inner turmoil. The sheer embarrassment of the moment causes him to have a dramatic nosebleed and collapse. Zhang Li leans over him, pointing out his sudden nosebleed with a concerned expression. Mortified, he throws up a hand, ordering her to stay right where she is. He scrambles away in a panic, desperate to put some distance between them. Grabbing a tissue, he tries to compose himself while she watches in confusion. Completely flustered, he demands that she put on some clothes immediately. She innocently agrees, puffing her cheeks as she prepares to comply. A swirl of green energy envelops her as she magically materializes a new outfit. Announcing she's finished, she reveals a new, modern-looking red and white dress. His eyes widen, caught completely off guard by her sudden change in appearance. He remains on the floor, staring up at her as she stands confidently in her new attire. Bathed in the morning sunlight. He points in shock, questioning how she can suddenly withstand the daylight. She smugly explains that she has partially regained her strength, gesturing to the hairpin. Tying up her hair, she playfully asks if her previous long dress was inconvenient for him. His expression turns serious as he internally questions her true nature, since souls shouldn't be active in daylight. She playfully leaps into his arms, urging him to apply a talisman. Their moment is interrupted by his phone ringing insistently on the bed. Flustered, he pushes her away, explaining he needs to take the call. He picks up the device, seeing the call is from his video editor Wang Sanhe. Answering the phone, he learns from the excited editor that their video has hit #1 on the trending list. Fang Ning calmly confirms he's seen the video's meteoric rise while on the phone. His editor excitedly reports that lucrative ad deals are already pouring in for their next project. Fang Ning advises caution, wanting to build their brand before cashing in on their newfound fame. The editor humbly downplays his own social media experience, confused by the line of questioning. Fang Ning proposes a formal partnership, offering to split the workload and profits for long-term growth. The editor hesitates, feeling his small studio is out of its league, but Fang Ning expresses his confidence in their work. With a sly look, Fang Ning gently pressures the editor for a final decision on their collaboration. The editor eagerly accepts the offer, his excitement barely contained as he clenches his fist. He nervously tries to negotiate a smaller cut for himself, but Fang Ning interrupts with a more generous plan. Fang Ning recalls how the editor was the only one to believe in him, revealing his offer as a gesture of gratitude. Overcome with emotion, the editor tearfully promises to dedicate himself to managing their new account. Fang Ning calmly ends the call, officially entrusting the future of their channel to his new partner. He checks the trending page, realizing their video has shattered records and generated an immense amount of fear. Turning from the screen, he looks to his spiritual partner, ready to discuss the power they've just collected. She playfully closes the distance, prompting him to ask if the viral video's fear was enough to restore her strength. She admits that despite their success, she is still far from her full power, leaving him to wonder what it will take. To illustrate her point, she conjures a massive glowing orb, showing him just how much energy she's still missing. He worries about their chances against their next target, but she confidently assures him of their victory. Deciding on a plan, he stretches and declares they will eat and rest before heading out. With newfound determination, he announces their return to Haiyuan Elementary that very night, ready for the next hunt. Zhangli celebrates her upcoming feast with adorable excitement. Later that night, under a crescent moon, they prepare to leave the apartment. Fang Ning stands at the window, telling his partner it's time to go. He's suddenly startled as a mysterious object flies past his head. At Haiyuan Elementary, two familiar figures hide behind a tree, one hesitant to proceed. The older man smacks his younger companion, reminding him of the viral video's success. He insists this is their golden opportunity to ride the hype and get famous. The younger creator nervously voices his fear of the school's rumored hauntings. His partner scoffs, dismissing the viral video as clever editing and fake props. Their skepticism vanishes as they both freeze in terror, staring at an unseen horror. The source of their terror is revealed to be a young woman, who they mistake for a real ghost. She angrily scolds her two companions for their cowardice, reminding them of their plan to meet at the gate. One of the men sheepishly admits the creepy, abandoned school at night set them on edge. He then voices his doubts, pointing out they can't compete with the original video's high-quality props and editing. Annoyed, she pinches his cheek, reminding him they're just there to capitalize on the hype, not to win an award. Her other partner suggests a clever plan to debunk the original video, earning a thoughtful look from their leader. Cutting off the flattery, she rallies her team, eager to start their investigation. But their bravado fades as one of them freezes, hearing a strange noise from the darkness behind them. Peering into the woods, they spot two ethereal figures gliding silently through the trees. The two men erupt in genuine terror, realizing they've just encountered the real thing. The woman scolds her two terrified companions for clinging to her, unimpressed by their cowardice. One of the men tries to justify their fear, arguing that a spooky forest at night is the perfect place for a ghost to appear. Composing herself, the woman approaches Fang Ning and Zhang Li, cautiously asking who they are. One of the streamers introduces himself as Zhang Xiao, explaining they're here to film at the now-famous school. His partners, Mao Xing and Lin Huan, introduce themselves, with Mao Xing extending a hand to Fang Ning. Mao Xing suddenly recognizes Fang Ning, making a strange pop culture reference that leaves Fang Ning looking confused. He excitedly reveals to his friends that they've just met the viral video star, the very reason for their visit. The woman, Lin Huan, transforms into an excited fan, gushing over how much she loved their ghost hunting video. She eagerly asks for an autograph before curiously questioning if he and Zhang Li are a couple. As a flustered Fang Ning tries to deny it, Zhang Li calmly and seriously confirms that she is his wife. Flustered, Fang Ning regains his composure, advising the rival streamers to leave the school until morning for their own safety. The skeptical streamer, Mao Xing, challenges his authority, refusing to be told where he can and cannot film. Fang Ning's expression turns grim as he insists that the school is genuinely haunted and his warning is not a joke. He gives them one last intense look, stressing that they will face life-threatening danger if they ignore him. Mao Xing remains unconvinced, accusing Fang Ning of faking his videos and trying to hog the spotlight. A sudden, unnatural gust of wind sweeps past the three streamers, knocking them off balance in a swift motion. As the wind settles, Zhang Xiao realizes Fang Ning and Zhang Li have vanished, leaving him to ponder the strange event. He gazes at the school gate, speculating that the pair have already gone inside to film a sequel. While one partner urges caution, the other sees a chance to sneak in and capture footage that could also go viral. Ignoring all warnings, the trio charges into the school grounds, eager to uncover the secrets behind the famous video. The third streamer desperately calls out, trying to catch up with his reckless friends. A ripple of green energy washes over the school grounds as the trio rushes inside, oblivious to its source. Now inside, Fang Ning worries about the streamers, knowing they can't save them if a fight breaks out. He turns to his partner, asking if she can pinpoint the location of their ghostly target. Zhang Li confidently points upward, revealing their quarry is in the same room as their last encounter. He tosses her his phone, entrusting her with filming their next big hit. With a confident smirk, Fang Ning gives the signal to start recording their new ghost hunt. He begins narrating their mission as they move through the school, with Zhang Li providing armed backup from above. He recaps their last visit, explaining his forced retreat and the spirit they must now rescue. Their destination is revealed: the principal's office, the heart of the school's haunting. He dramatically kicks open the office door, announcing his triumphant return. Inside the derelict room, he scans the darkness, searching for their spectral target. Zhang Li points to an ornate comb on the desk, identifying it as the source of the malevolent energy. He deduces the comb is the key, a personal item he can use to track down the trapped spirit. A surge of dark energy erupts from the comb as an unseen entity taunts him for his boldness. A monstrous spirit manifests, boasting that it has already set a trap from which he can never escape. Unimpressed, Fang Ning mocks the creature's lack of creativity and prepares to counter its attack. The grotesque entity lunges forward, aiming to overwhelm him with its sheer size and power. He effortlessly deflects the blow, his own fiery aura clashing with the spirit's dark energy. The creature recoils in disbelief, stunned by his rapid growth in power and concluding he must be a demon hunter. Fang Ning coolly dismisses the creature's power, taunting it for its lack of improvement over the years. Enraged by the insult, the demonic spirit roars, its dark energy flaring as it prepares to strike. The towering entity warns Fang Ning not to celebrate prematurely, its immense size dwarfing him completely. It gathers crackling purple energy, its glowing red eyes fixed on him as it announces the true fight has just begun. The spirit unleashes a massive orb of destructive energy, vowing that not even a demon hunter can keep it from its love. Fang Ning braces himself, caught off guard by the sheer power of the creature's soul technique. The scene cuts to the streamer Zhang Xiao, who cheerfully introduces himself to his viewers as Potato. He and his crew begin filming at the school gate, ready to investigate the famous haunting for their channel. His monologue is interrupted by a menacing, disembodied voice from inside, questioning his audacity to return. A massive blast of purple energy erupts from the school's upper floors, stunning the three streamers into silence. The streamer Mao Xing falls back in terror, pointing at the unbelievable display of power. He watches in horror as Fang Ning is blasted out of the building by the purple energy. His partner screams, certain the 5-story fall will be fatal. But Zhang Li springs into action, her green energy swirling as she leaps to the rescue. She gracefully catches him mid-fall, her power cushioning their descent. The pair lands safely, leaving the three rival streamers completely speechless. The other streamers stare in disbelief, questioning if they actually saw them fly. Mao Xing scoffs, trying to convince himself it was just a clever wire trick. Their debate is cut short as another shadowy entity plummets from the sky. It crashes down before them, revealing a hulking, armored monster that dwarfs the terrified trio. The streamers scramble back in terror, their skepticism shattered by the supernatural display. The woman scolds her friends for filming, trying to drag them away from the imposing monster. The armored entity stomps forward, its dark energy sealing off any chance of escape. Its glowing red eyes narrow as it vows to destroy anyone who dared to interfere with its beloved. A massive dome of purple energy erupts from the creature, trapping everyone within the school grounds. One of the men panics, his hands meeting the impassable energy wall that now surrounds them. The group's leader shoves his friend aside, refusing to believe they are truly trapped. He charges the barrier, only to be violently repelled by the immense spiritual force. Defeated, the trio collapses, filled with regret for not heeding Fang Ning's earlier warning. The woman looks on grimly, understanding their survival now depends entirely on Fang Ning's victory. Fang Ning analyzes the attack, realizing his opponent isn't as unbeatable as he first appeared. The armored behemoth lunges forward, determined to crush him with a single devastating blow. With a burst of golden energy, he leaps high into the air, effortlessly evading the creature's clumsy strike. The spirit retaliates with a powerful downward punch, aiming to smash him into the ground. Fang Ning meets the massive fist head-on, creating a brilliant explosion of energy at the point of impact. A surge of purple lightning courses through his arm, the raw power of the blow catching him by surprise. Thrown back by the force, he flips in midair and unleashes a powerful counterblast of his own. His attack carves a trench in the ground, showcasing his own impressive destructive capability. He lands, a bead of sweat on his brow as he acknowledges the frightening power of his foe. The spirit challenges his endurance, while Fang Ning urgently calls out for his partner, Zhang Li. Zhang Li answers his call, her hairpin glowing as she unleashes her own spiritual power. From ethereal portals, massive green chains of energy shoot forward to intercept the monster. Fang Ning braces himself, his golden aura flaring as the creature's enormous fist plummets toward him. The chains bind the armored spirit completely, suspending it in midair as it roars in helpless rage. Landing on the creature's shoulders, Fang Ning confidently challenges the now immobilized entity. The spirit thrashes against its bonds, demanding Fang Ning release it from the powerful restraints. He places a talisman on the spirit's helmet, deducing that the monstrous form is merely a facade. Pressing his finger to the talisman, he correctly identifies the spirit as Zhang Chang, the school's last principal. With the entity subdued, Fang Ning furiously demands to know if he was responsible for Lianxiang's demise. The monstrous illusion shatters, revealing a terrified man who desperately denies the accusation, claiming her end was an accident. The spirit shamelessly shifts the blame, questioning why the girl didn't just run away. Enraged, Fang Ning delivers a swift strike, calling the man a monster for his heartless words. He grabs the principal, condemning him for destroying a young life and causing her family unimaginable pain. Overwhelmed, the spirit begs him to stop, unable to face the truth of his actions. Fang Ning offers a deal, promising a way out if the principal reveals Lianxiang's location. But the spirit's obsession takes over, defiantly refusing to ever let her go. He lunges forward in a burst of purple energy, attempting to break free and attack. Zhang Li swoops in to intercept, warning her partner of the impending danger. The principal grabs hold of Fang Ning, preparing to unleash a final, desperate attack. Their struggle culminates in a massive explosion that rips through the school building. Caught in the blast, Fang Ning cries out as the raw energy surges through him. Recovering, he demands to know what just happened as the principal's power flares. Zhang Li admits she's unsure, observing that their enemy seems to be getting a sudden power boost. The principal smashes the ground, vowing that no one will ever separate him from his beloved. To his shock, Fang Ning finds himself crackling with the same purple energy, his clothes tearing from the strain. Blasted back, he internally curses the villain's sudden level up, wondering if he got too cocky. Zhang Li swoops in to rescue him, unleashing her spiritual chains to restrain their foe. The principal roars in fury, thrashing against the powerful green energy binding him. His face twists into a monstrous grin as he reveals a stolen talisman, taunting Zhang Li. Breaking free, the spirit lunges for Zhang Li, but Fang Ning intercepts the attack, taking the full force of the blow. The principal unleashes a devastating blast of purple energy, sending Fang Ning flying. The powerful beam crashes into the ground, creating a massive shockwave. Zhang Li rushes to his side as he struggles to his feet, battered but not broken. He reassures her, telling her to merge with him so they can contain the fight. Realizing he's outmatched, Fang Ning retreats, desperately searching for a new strategy. The enraged principal channels his dark power, vowing to trap his opponent inside the school forever. Fang Ning skillfully dodges a barrage of explosive energy blasts that rock the hallway. He deduces the barrier's weak point must be in the classroom and makes a break for it. Outside, the school building erupts with explosions, a testament to the fierce battle raging within. Cornered by the relentless attack, he knows he has only one chance to charge his power and can't afford to stop. With renewed determination, he decides to take a massive risk and fight back head-on. Planting his foot firmly, he launches himself forward with a burst of golden energy. He rockets through the school hallway, a blur of motion aimed directly at his opponent. The principal's purple energy blasts meet him head-on, but he pushes through the barrage. A fiery explosion erupts just behind him, showcasing the raw power he narrowly dodged. Safely out of the blast radius, he realizes he must find Lianxiang while he has this small window. He connects the dots, deducing that Lianxiang's spirit must be tied to the comb in the principal's office. Gazing up the ruined stairwell, he knows he must return to the very room where the fight began. But the principal's spirit materializes at the top of the stairs, taunting him and blocking his path. The spirit's face contorts with rage, vowing that everyone who interfered will perish in the school. Unfazed by the threat, Fang Ning confidently deduces that Lianxiang's spirit is trapped nearby. The principal's face contorts with rage, his glowing red eyes revealing his shock at being found out. He lunges to interfere, but Fang Ning raises a fist crackling with golden energy, preparing to act. With a look of fierce determination, he channels his full power, his aura flaring as he prepares to strike.